It's a good day. Assuming that we've created our application, we've opened a web ASP.NET web application, which uses the architecture of models, views, and controllers. If you look here, we have views, we have controllers. That will be the architecture. So we want to start by creating a database that we will use to store our information, because we want to create an enterprise application. So we must have a database where we save our information there. Then we teach one another on how to link our application and the database. So this is how we go. First, we need to view the Server Explorer. If it's not available, you can click View, then you select Server Explorer. Just click here, this will appear, the Server Explorer. Or you can even use the SQL Server Object Explorer. So you come here, you right click, you select Add Connection. Then when you are opening this for the first time, you first encounter this interface. So you select the Microsoft SQL Server database file, this one, because we are using local DB. This one is normally used when you want to use SQL Server. If you have got an independent SQL Server, which you need to install first the SQL Server and the SQL Server Management Studio for you to interact with the SQL Server using graphical user interface. But we're not using this one. We're going to use this one today. Alright, click OK. Then here we need to look for the database. If it's existing, we go to the location. If it's not existing, let's say we want to create a new database, like in this instance, we want to create a new database. We click Browse. Then we go to the local disk. I prefer this location because every Windows machine will have a local disk C. So if you put your folder with the database here, it becomes easy to move from one machine to another. Right, so let's say I create new. You can say example. Alright, exdb. Right, I open this folder. Here on the file, need to put the name of the database. Now we don't have the database, but we need to give it a name. So you can say let's say we want to, the database will be, right, probably say point of sale. You can say pause db. Right, so this will be our database name, pause db mdf. If you click test connection, since this one does not exist, it will tell you that the database does not exist. Like this one, the one cannot be tested because the specified database file does not exist. But if it was existing, it will show you that the connection has been succeeded. Right, and you click OK. It will prompt you to create because it does not exist. Then you click yes. So it may take some time trying to create that database. Yes, now the database is there. Right, now we have our database but no tables. Now we want to create a tables. We right click on the tables, we click add new table. Right here it's loading. It gives you an opportunity to use either SQL or the graphical user interface. But the graphical user interface is still loading, and we will give it time to load. It will take some time. You need to be patient there because it will take time to load depending with the speed of your computer. In this scenario, mine is not that fast because I removed another chip of RAM. It was 16 gig RAM, but now it's 8 gig RAM. That's why it's a little bit slow. But if you have got a better machine, it will load very fast. That design. Right, finally, it has loaded. Right now, we want to create a table. Let's say was on point of sale, we needed to register suppliers, so we can give the name suppliers here. Right, then on the supplier you may have the supplier ID, say sub ID, and this is the primary key, and you can even make it an identity. An identity column is a column that will increment. It's like an auto increment column. It will not be entered by the user, it will increment itself. So you can call it this one in identity. Right, then we need to give the seed. First number is the seed, and the second one is the increment value. So we are telling it that the seed is 1, it will start at 1, and it will increment with the 1. That's the primary key. Probably we need the supplier name. The supplier name, the type may be varchar, variable character. Right, you can give it 50, it's okay. For the supplier name, you may want what else you may want probably the supplier address. The data type varchar, but this time I want more than 50. You can say 100 or 200. Right. To make things simple, we are not going to add more fields. Let us just use those 3 fields so that it becomes very, very simple and easy to understand the concept. Because if you add more, people will get confused. So we don't want to confuse people. We just want to make people enjoy. Right here we need to, I clicked the update. That's when we come here. Then we click what? Update database. So it has to have a green arrow here. A tick, I mean, right? A tick in shaded in green like this. It shows that the update was successful. You click here, update, then you proceed. That's where I clicked update. Right. So it means our table has been created. I can even close it. You come here on the tables, you right click and you click refresh to see. You now see this is the suppliers. You can even show table data so that you can add 2 or 1 record depending with one. This field, we say that's auto increment. We are not going to supply the value there. We are going to supply the S name and the S address. So the S name will be like let's say Sokiri pvt ltd. Right, then the address is 10.296 Jude Park. Right, go to the next Probably this is T and N. T and L enterprise. You give whatever you want there, like that. Workington. I just want uppercase Workington. Something like this. We have two records which we have now. We can even close. No longer want to use it. Now we come here. We want to add the folders that will hold the what, our different components, our different items which we are going to use. Since we are going to connect our application with our database which we have created recently, we need to maintain or to apply some of the software engineering techniques, the likes of a loose coupling. So for us to maintain that, we need to make use of an interface, we need to make use of some classes, and the classes will be loosely covered through the interface. So we need to have about 3 folders. One which is going to hold the interfaces, and this one I'm going to call it a repository because it's going to hold the interfaces. Then the second one is going to hold the implementation of the repository, and the third one, which is supposed to be the first one, is going to hold the data, or that's the models in other words. So we have the models, the implementation, the repository. Right, on the data we need to create a class, so we're going to add a supplier class there. Right, this one will give the name supplier, supplier.cs, or just supply. Right, the properties of this supplier, we have sub id, just check. Right, prop sub id. Right, this one is a key, so we need to use a annotations. Right, system component model dot annotations. Right, we want to add the s name. That one is a string. Right, s name. Right, string again is address. Right, don't forget to save. Right, this is the one. If we're having more than one table, we need to create all the classes that resembles the tables. You see the issue of pluralization. When you are referring to the class, it's singularized, but when you're on the table, it's pluralized. You need to adhere to that one so that it makes some sense, because inside the table you can have more than one supplier, but the class, it's just a supplier. That's where the sense is derived from. Right, from there we need also to create another class inside data, that is the context. Now it will be derived from the So this one is pause db. You can say pause db context. Naming it the name of the database, it's not mandatory, but it assists you to remember that what you are dealing with, where are you dealing with it, something like that, right? Here we need to derive it from the db context, which is the member of entity framework, right? From here we need to put a constructor right inside here for the db context options, the generic one. Then we put the name of this class there, right, as well, options. Then the base class of this one, options. Right, this is the constructor. We are done with that constructor. We need now to set that's the tables now, but we are referring to the class supply. If we have more than one table, we will be talking about those classes which are resembling the tables. Say prop virtual db set. This one is a generic again, so supplier, just to write that one, suppliers, right. Don't forget to save. Right, this one we are done with the data part. You can even close. Then we go to the interface, right, the new item, select. So the conventions of naming interface, you start with I. So the first interface which you want to create is a generic interface or generic repository, right? That's the first interface which we need to create. This is a generic. Since it's a generic, so we want to give it a right. We want to give it that T is class, like that. It's IntelliCode. So now we want some methods, probably want to perform some searching. We may search, we may update, we may delete, we may add, right, depending on what we want to do. So here, let's say we want to search or find, say find, then int id, right. Then you can add void, was this one, I will not return anything. Add an entity. You can let's say void update have or get all. You can have a list get all. This will be able to retrieve all the records in the database. You can use that one, the get all. Also need the delete, right? Something like this. You want to keep this very simple so that everyone who will be trying to follow it will be easy for him or her to follow. That's why we are trying to make it as simple as that. Right now we want to go to the next one, that is the unit of work. Right, inside here we also need to create a class, or not a class but an interface, because we are going to use a repository pattern together with unit of work. So this one will be an interface unit of work. Right, so this one will be inherited from this one, disposable. Disposable. Right, then this one will only have one because we don't have many tables, so just need to have one table. But before, as a property, but before we put it, we need to create it first. So let us create the interface for our table, that is supplier repository. Right, supplier repository. Right, so this one now is going to inherit what? Generic repository, and here, since it's a generic, we are going to put the supplier. Right, this one we are done. Come to this one now. We create supplier repository, supplier only, not supplier repository, but we want supplier. Right, if we were to have many, we're supposed to have also a lot of, I think we need to add that int save so that it can assist us. Right, int save, you can save changes or save depending with the want, the way. This one's a property, you can call it public int save. Right, now this is a method form of this is a property method. Right, now we are done with the unit of work, the generic, then the supply. In short, we are done with the repository. Right, need to go to the implementation. Right, Here we need to create a generic class, generic repository. This is going to implement the generic interface. So since it's a generic repository, it also have a what t and implement iGeneric. Right. You may want to implement, this one is supposed to implement the interface, right? So it needs to have some dependency injection here. We need to use some dependency injection. I need to inject the context. That's what I was checking before all this. This way would have been placed by this. Right. Here we need to, that you can say private pause dp context just say context ctr. Right, pause. Right, this is known as dependency injection, because this class is going to depend with this class, the pause db, but instead of depending with that directly, you are now injecting the dependency, thus making the coupling loose, thus loosening the coupling. It's called dependency injection, this one. Instead of having this class depending directly, it has to depend on what it has to be injected. The dependency is now injected through the constructor. That's when you see this one. So this one is the one which is going to be used inside all these ones, because we have been given the value through the word, through the constructor. Right, so here what are we saying? We are saying this context dot set, yes, add something like that. Then this one context dot set t dot remove. This one's id. Move, there's no argument. Still is supposed to remove and end it. Supposed to remove and end it here. And end it. It's the one which is supposed to be removed. Right. We are going to return context dot set find ID. There is chances of having a null. That's why it's saying this one sometimes can be null. So if it's like that, what's wrong with this one? Alright, some of the was not implemented. Alright, it's okay. Right here, return to list this one. Right, update. This one now is now updating. Set T and it. Right, so our generic repository class is now off. This is where all the work is done, and this is going to be inherited by what? By any class which wants to create, or whatever class which resembles a table will inherit this one. Right, so we're now creating the supplier repository. Right, so this one is going to inherit the generic repository. That is, you have supply. You are recommended to use tab so that it will pick the using here. Right, then not only that, it's also inheriting from I supply. Right, so it also wants the idea and if the post DB context so it's again dependency injection which we are doing here, because this one, instead of relying with it direct, it's now being injected. That's what we are doing. It's dependency injection. We talked about this one, and we are using the constructor for injecting the dependence. Right? If you have more than one, you are supposed to create all the classes that resembles the tables in the database. Right, from this we need to take the unit of work now. Unit of work, actual unit of work. We need to talk about the unit of work, actual unit of work. This one I'm done with it. This one opened twice. And the unit of work, actual unit of work. Alright, let me see the unit of work. Unit of work is supposed to be these things you cannot just check it and see we use it. Not this folder which I'm opening, the one which uses the repository. Now I want to add the actual unit of work. Right. So again, we need also to make a dependency injection on the unit of work, because it's now going to inherit the I unit of work. And this class is a bit important because it is the one which unit of work, it's the one which will be used to apply the dependency injection. Right. Right. It's not doing what we want. This one supposed to be. Right. We need to, yes, this one we want this constructor. We want private read only pose to be again to create linking these things. Right, so this supply new post in content. like this, and we will be done. So I was using the opposite, right? Now we are done with our implementation with our 3 classes, but this is simplified. It won't be like this in the actual. Right, we need to see the app settings.json. Oh, this was already put, but we need to know this. I pasted this one, but I pasted it with another database, so we need to change the initial catalog here, put the actual catalog, which is this one. It's in EX. If you check the connection string of this one, this one, find the connection string properties window. This is the connection string. If you look on the connection string here, this is the name. This is the name. This one is the one which we need to change. So you need not to worry about the app setting.json, because what is needed is just to change the yes, that's it. This one, logo db catalog. Yes, so that's the app settings.json. It only shows the connection string. My icon is the name of the connection string. Data source, this is logo db. Initial catalog, that is the name of the database. Then integrated security, it means that it will not require authentication when opening the database. No authentication will be required, so it's like it is using Windows authentication. Right, we are done with the app settings.json. It's another way again of supporting in loose coupling, because instead of putting the connection inside the classes or inside the other programs, it has been placed on the app settings.json, just to make sure that it will not be called now and again, but it has to be registered. Now here where we are now, we need to register the services for us to start working now. So we need to add the connection string. So this one obviously need to use this one. That's the one which we are going to use. This builder services edit context. Then that's the registration. Without the registration, builder dot services dot add what add db db context. Right, our context is pause. Need to write it exactly as it pause db context, so that it will right. This one now, was using this one, we need to create the option now. This is now called a lambda expression. Right, from there we need to use the they use SQL Server because that's the one which we are using. Use SQL Server. Then we go to the configurations. You need to get the connection string. Get connection string. Then here we need to put the name of the connection string, which is in the upsetting.json. This is the name of the connection string. Take it and place it exactly as it is. Right, how many brackets have we opened? 1, 2, 3, about 3. So we need to close all those brackets. 2, 3. Right, we have added our connection. Sometimes people would want to bind this one inside a region. Connection string. And region. So this one can be closed like this. It's been closed. You know that this is a connection string. But don't worry about this one. It does not matter much about the coding. Then we need to register again our units of work dot add. You can say add scoped. Right, add scoped. So what do we want to add scoped? We want to add a unit of work. Right, and unit of work. Unit of work. Right, so this one will implement the second one. So the second one, this one, will be implementing this one. This one is an interface, will be implemented by this one as a class. And that's where the loose coupling is much achieved here, because we are going to, when we are using this, we are going to use the interface. But if you open the interface, you see that this one, it does not have anything. But that's what we are going to use. It is this implementation which has got the information, but we're not going to use it much. I'm going to use the, oh, I did not even oh, this one, context dot save changes. Just to return that one, context dot save changes. This one was left and with the default, even this one. Yes, and we need it the dispose. For the meantime, I don't want it to have anything. Right, so this one is the one which is going to perform whatever we want to do. But when we are calling the when we want to use, we are going to use the interface. That's loose coupling now, because the codes here can be changed without affecting the what, without affecting the other classes. Even if you want to change the implementation, you can just change the implementation, then you point that class which is implementing this interface here, and you note. So that's how smart it will be with the dependency injection. Right, now we want to, because at the end of the day we want to be in a position to add, to retrieve the records. So we are going to add a controller here. Right, add a controller right under the controllers. So if I was connected, I was going to use this one. It will generate or whatever we want to be generated, but let me use this one with the right read, and it goes like that. Right, add that one. Right, this one, MVC controller, the name. When you are naming controllers, it should have the word controller in front. That's the naming convention. This one you have to be very strict about it, otherwise you'll be writing something which will not exist in ASP.NET. You need to make sure that the word controller is in front of the name of your controller. In this case, we want to create a supplier controller, so we click add supplier controller. Right, the moment we create this supply controller, it must have a corresponding views table. In the views, it's supposed to have a corresponding, like here you see the home controller has got the home. So the supplier controller should also have its own folder in the views. So for us to find that one, just go to the index, we right click, then we go to click say add view. Right, we want a razor view which is empty because we are not connected. That's the challenge of not being connected, and we will try to do right. This one is index, it has to be the same name with that one, index. Yes, right, it's an empty, but the moment you added it, you will see that we now have the what we now have the folder supply. It has been created automatically because every controller should have its own folder in the views folder. Right, now what do we want here? Here we want to list, because this is the index, we need to list all the suppliers. So what are we going to do? Probably we need to inject now, because this is the get supplier controller, and since it's the get, you can even restrict it to get. If you want to restrict to get, you can decorate it with HTTP get like that. Right, but before that we need to make our dependency injection. So here we say private read only units unit of work right. Inside here I say unit of work unit of work. Right, like that. So inside this constructor, we are now passing, supposed to terminate here. This is C#. Roman use semicolons. So we're saying unit of work goes to unit of work. Right, we have injected. So here you can now say unit of work dot supply dot get all. Right, though we need to first you can say list we need to add using data, right? Return view, but our view now needs to take the what? The suppliers, like this. So here we would have I wrote this line of code to collect all the records in in this table, and we return that one to the view, which is the index, which I closed in this supplier. This is the index, right? Right. It's model. Right. This is our this is front end. Now we are not trying to come up with the interface, but of the view, because the view is the user interface. That's the one which we are trying to, but I cannot waste my time trying to key in everything. Let me just go and check and copy and paste, because we want to put a table. Then from there we want to put a table. Then you can even something like this. I want this table. Cannot type everything, just copy and paste, then we edit according to what we want and what we don't want, right? Here these are suppliers, and right, that is correct. List of suppliers, right? This one we haven't created this one, unless if we create it, it will, because we haven't created the create. Let's add view, yes, empty, add. You have to be careful here because we are not making it automatic, so you need to know that this is the create, right? It's also blank, right? So this will becomes correct now. No, it's not correct. You're supposed to have supplier. Is it supplier and suppliers? Create, right? Oh, sorry, someone's just sending messages that go on WhatsApp. My network is not good here. You can say supplier name, then you can have the address, right? Here it's reserved for actions. Right, so here now it can no longer be that way. Supplier name S name, and the second one is address. Right. Right. With this, we have linked our database. This is our database with our application. Whatever we will be doing, it's only we are now playing around with our application. Let's try to see whether it's working that way. But before that, we need to check the shade, the layout. With there is a link which you can put. Since I want to put something like suppliers. Right, when we are linking now, here this is the anchor tag class. It's just telling you. In the area, nothing to. We were worried about the controller, because first you need to point to the controller, which is the supplier, correct? Then you are going to the what? The action is the what? The index. If you open this one, this is the controller supplier. Controller name supplier, because it inherits from the controller. Then the action is the index. You need to be very careful there. That's whenever you are linking, just to point controller name, then the action. Because whenever a request is made, it is first presented to the controller. Then from there, it is the controller which will determine which action. Then the action will perform whatever it is supposed to perform, whether to go to the database, to pick and whatever. So now we want to run our application. Oh, there are some build errors. Namespace models. Right, this model is not there. I don't know where did we get this. Right, this one is not there. It's like I deleted some of the folders. Best is to remove this totally. And this decoration, right? I hope I removed everything. Oh, yes, some errors again. Right, this one, where is emanating from? Not in this one. When? Yes, models. Right, this one. Oh, still. The problem is it's hiding the errors. Right, where are the two now left? Shade error, shade error, shade error. This one. Slide number. Shade error. 25. This one doesn't do that. Where does it? Still, there is no that one. Seeing that script. This one. Where is that one? Where is that which I have deleted? This one's supposed to be this one. Alright, we'll just remove it totally. So it was that file which was causing miscellaneous. Right, it is opened. It has opened a web application. Sometimes it takes time to load, so we need to see these suppliers whether they are correct according to right. These are the suppliers which we have right now. We need to check to see whether they are the same or whether it's loading. Right, it shows that there is some network wasn't found. It's not found. SQL Server configured. It's network related. Right. Oh, fine. This can be that the table, this one is not accessible. It's not accessible. Let's see. Is it? But it is accessible. What we can just do is to copy the connection string. It's the issue of the upsetting JSON. That's where the issue is. Right. Was when I renamed this one, I'm not so sure whether I did it correctly. Right. I need to remove. Yeah, I leave that one. That one alone should be enough. Right, suppliers. Right. Oh, it is loaded. So it means that when I copied, there was something in copying which made it not to read. It was only that upsetting JSON. Now it is read the suppliers as they are from the database. You can edit, you can create new, you can delete, depending whether you have coded, but these are not yet coded. So you cannot add, you cannot delete. And when you are developing an enterprise, it should do, the views should be designed that they will be appealing to the user, not like the ones which you are seeing. These ones have been designed by an old person who is, the main aim was to show you how to connect your database with your enterprise application. You may have some questions, you may even throw them in the comment section. You may have some contributions, they are welcome. Just don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.